Hey guys, Andy N, the amazing ML Liebler. Straight up to my friend, he's going to do 3 pieces for us. Take it away, mate.
This one is from my book, Wide Awake in Someone Else's Dream, which can't probably be seen because of the background. See, that could be Alexis's backdrop. It's kind of psychedelic. The other one, my other book I'm going to read a poem from is the cover art is by Stu Sutcliffe. Now, you guys are all too young to know, but he was the bass player in the Beatles in Hamburg. And then he ended up staying in Hamburg. And he didn't come back. He didn't want to be in the Beatles anyway, but he was an artist and he did the cover art for it. So, all right. Making It Right. And I use a quote from a very famous Detroit poet, Philip Levine, who was a friend as well, but very famous poet, became Poet Laureate of the U.S. You know what work is. If you're old enough to read this, you know what work is. Although you may not do it, forget you. I bring no poetry today from the oil and grease soul of my Detroit. The history I am is only and nothing more than the son of an auto worker, just another Detroit man beaten down by the tortured years of depression, world wars, and the awful angst of unemployment. This is my story without balance, weighing heavier on the side of heartache and less on the side of the sacred and glorious. This is my story of what no work is and what it can do to the working class in the darkness of our desperation. I wish now I did have some little poem that I could say aloud here to make you all understand what is inside the blackened heart and under the whittled bones of the people who have been left behind in the ashes of the plant. I guess I could read you a poem about how labor takes a man and makes him a worker before he is allowed to become a man, or takes a boy before he is allowed to become a man. How the factory humiliates and intimidates all people with endless assembly and useless work. How the line takes 1 ounce of every soul lived for every minute it is sped up to completion. How Henry Ford's great innovation doomed generations to continuous monotony in the name of making a living. But I'm afraid that I can only bring the small news of what becomes of people who work hard with greasy hands, about people who learn that their reality is having their names spelled out in factory smoke long before they were born, a birthright for workers to endure through the long loneliness of industry and unemployment lines where we wait and wait for our bread and roses to fall from the sky like beads of perspiration upon our graves. We dream that maybe prosperity is really just around the corner. So we get up every morning with hope and we return each night to the broken houses of our lives, seldom realizing that it is our labor that keeps this whole world together. I guess in the end, we do not know what work is, but still we continue to do it over and over and over, making it right.
Brilliant stuff. Great stuff. What's the inspiration behind that piece?
Well, actually, I always used to tell students, whatever gig you're offered, take it. So the State Department offered me a gig to read in the American House, which they had built after World War II to kind of smooth out relationships. And so I said, yeah, I'll do it. And they said, well, we'd like you to talk about Detroit during the Depression. And I thought, well, I don't know if I have any of that, but I said, yes, of course. And on the plane, I wrote that poem. So when I got off to give the reading, that was the poem. And I kind of liked it. So I kept it.
Yeah, it's a good way of doing
That
it.
was the inspiration. Just thinking
Good.
about, Detroit and what it means and all that stuff.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's often the way I look at poetry sometimes as well, where if you get offered a gig, you try. I always believe I like to try and write something new for everyone to do.
Oh, that's
Whether I
great.
use it again afterwards, another ball game. Yeah, agreed. Right. Anyway, my pets. my catchphrase: less of me, more for you. So back to you, mate.
Well, that's mine too, for in most cases for people. Um, oh, here's one. This is kind of definitely now that I think about it, everything's autobiographic in a way, but it's called Man on the Moon. When the first man landed, I was 15 and the world was at war. I sat on our cement front porch of our brick ranch house while Grandpa drank a beer. Grandma sat inside that hot July eve on the plastic covered couch, and she kept calling updates through the screen door. Mike, Vern, get in here, she yelled. There's a man walking down a bright white ladder onto the moon. We were listening to the ball game on Grandpa's small transistor radio when a colorless, scratchy image of a man jumping off a grainy ladder onto the surface of a place we'd only seen from our bathroom window. Look at that, would you? She said. My grandmother and grandfather only lived another 10 years, but on that hot July night, we were excited. All of us huddled on a small front porch, watching a small black and white TV through a screen door, marking one step, small step for man, and one giant leap for mankind.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Yeah. They always, you're right there. It said like every poem you write has got to have share something about you. And I really felt I got to know you in that piece. Excellent stuff. So,
thank you. Thank you.
Was that quite a quick piece for you to write? Or was that one you had to really take your time with?
No, I'm an odd kind of writer when it comes to that stuff. Unlike most writers, and my wife does tell me often that everybody doesn't think like me. But I write it. I go back and like I don't spend days and weeks and years on a thing. It's kind of I kind of take, since this is Easter weekend, I take that biblical approach. What I have written, I have written. So that's how that works out. So you want to hear one more little
Yes,
one?
please, mate. Give us a big finale.
Okay, here we go. Oh, and this kind of talks about this is a true story. We talked about being in Afghanistan. So this is the cover. Let's see if I can there. That is by Stu Sutcliffe
Got it.
of the Beatles. So that was, and his sister gave me permission, and now they're both buried in Liverpool. She died after that. But this is a true story. Kandahar mission briefing. They brought me in quietly, sitting us all in a large half circle, a chalkboard, a captain, and a mission leader. The mission is to take this poet into city center Kandahar tomorrow. To get into the city, we will take 4 MRAPs. The leader will scout the road ahead for IEDs. The middle one will carry the poet and a turret gunner. The third and fourth vehicle will serve as lookouts and follow-up. If any of these vehicles hits an IED, and if the vehicle doesn't tip, do not, under any circumstance, exit the vehicle. If the gunner is hit or killed, the poet must grab his legs like thus and hold on. You must not let go of the gunner. When we arrive at the outpost, soldiers in vehicles 1 and 3 and 4 will exit, search the school grounds for insurgents disguised as Taliban poets. When the all clear is given, the poet will exit vehicle number 2 with body armor and helmet and first aid kit. He will be surrounded by 6 soldiers. Once the okay is given, soldiers will bring the poet into the building where the poet greets the director and 34 male Kandahar poets and authors. If room is not compromised, poet may take off his body armor. If the scene seems dangerous, he must keep armor and helmet on at all times. After talk, reading, and hummus, we must leave the ground ASAP. No lingering. That's it. Thank you, Andy.
Great stuff. Oh wow, what an ending! Brilliant stuff. That very
True story.
I felt it straight away with that. I think all your pieces you've read to start these 3 pieces have all been, you could tell they're all true stories. That one had a bit more a sarcasm in it, I think, actually, just slightly. But it's
Well,
been
the follow-up poem to that, which I am not going to read on the air, is pretty disturbing. What happened after that visit that the soldiers told me.
Maybe in a future podcast, then definitely.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I want to
Thank
thank
you.
I want to thank ML today. It's been a pleasure. I want to thank Nick and Alexis, who have both been very quietly sat in the background, hopefully enjoying this rant with ML. But it's been a pleasure today, guys. So
Thank you.
everybody, please keep in touch, because I want to. I'd love to have you all on again. I promise you that now. So
Oh, that's great, Andy.
yeah, been a pleasure. So right, let's get this podcast record saved, and we will chat further. Thank you again, everybody. As Don Callis over at AEW Wrestling says, stay safe and stay over. And we will see you all next time.